What's up, y'all? Welcome into the warm-up show here on Grind City Media. It's rainy outside, FedEx Forum. It's hot in here under these lights. We moved up from courtside. We're a little bit higher up, but we're still here right next to the court as the Grizzlies are getting ready to take on the Houston Rockets. Pretty big game tonight. Yeah. The number 2 in the Western Conference, Houston Rockets, against the number 3 Memphis Grizzlies. Rockets coming in 32-14. Grizzlies sitting at 31-16, but the Rockets have won 3 straight against this Memphis Grizzlies team. Grizzlies have won 4 straight at home. Something's got to give tonight, one way or the other. I don't know which way it's going to go, but it feels like a big game. It's on TNT, not on FanDuel tonight. So stick with us. We got an hour-long show. It's supersized.
Special show.
It's supersized.
Yes.
Yeah, we supersized it.
Yes.
Like you used to be able to do it.
Got in the suite. Got a different location.
We're in the suite.
Hour long. Yes, we're having some fun tonight. Yeah.
So we got an hour long. We got a lot of guests coming. Ready for this game in 1 hour, and we got a lot of stuff to get to, but like I said, it feels like a big game. Do you think this is the most important game of the season for the Grizzlies?
No. No,
okay.
I don't think it's the most important game of the season for the Grizzlies because there's a great chance that, based on breaking developments, Ja Morant is trending towards being out tonight, right? So there can't be a greatest game for the Grizzlies during the regular season without their fair share of big don't have Ja or Jaren or Desmond Bane, but the other 2 will be here, including the All-Star, second-time All-Star Jaren Jackson Jr. We'll get more to that in a minute. Yeah. But it is the magnitude of this game. The Grizzlies still have to come out here and make a statement because you don't want to get swept by this team that's right in front of you in the conference standings. Yeah,
this is the 3rd time this month these 2 teams have played. Yeah. The other 2 games were both like 4-point games. They were close both times. But the Rockets won both those games.
And in the first one, also the last 2 were 4-point games, right, within 4. And the first game, the Grizzlies had a double-digit lead in the second half. Yeah. So they were in all 3 of them.
Yeah.
And blew it. Yeah.
But Memphis has won 4 straight home games. Their most recent home defeat was January 9th against Houston. Yeah. And the Grizzlies are 19-5 at home this season. Before that Knicks game, which they lost 143-106 in New York, well, that was a disaster. Before that game, though, the Grizzlies have been playing really well here at home and have been playing really well in the month of January. And felt like things were kind of going the right way. And then that Knicks loss, well, we know how fans are, us included. You lose one game and you think it's the end of the world. Yeah. But I think this Grizzlies team, the last couple of days being around them at practice, shoot around, listening to them talk, like I kind of feel like they understand like the bigger picture here.
You think so? And talk about the bigger picture as Zach Edey gets warmed up on the basketball floor right there. They're going to need a big-time game from him and for him to be engaged throughout the 48-minute game right here. So hopefully the Grizzlies will start him and not necessarily go away from him. But the one thing that I caution myself and I caution others to look at is right now, when you come off of a loss like that against the Knicks, somebody's got to be angry. Somebody's got to throw a chair. Somebody's got to punch a wall in the locker room. You and I have been around the NBA for a long time. Teams, sort of lose their cool and get frustrated when they have inexplicable or unexplainable losses like that. And I think this was one of those coming off of what happened in New York.
Grizzlies had 26 turnovers that game in New York. Knicks scored 36 points off turnovers. Knicks stole the ball 20 times from the Grizzlies. Toward the second half of that game, like I kind of feel like you throw that out because it was like nobody was playing well. There was that stretch where the Grizzlies were out of timeouts and they couldn't get the guys off the court.
Off the floor,
and the guys who were out there were just turning it over and like please get me out of the game.
Which is why you can't throw that away because you can't let go of the rope right there. That's still a film moment that Taylor Jenkins can sit down and say, listen, I couldn't rescue you guys because I ran out of timeouts trying to rescue you before now. This cannot happen. Like, this cannot happen if we're going to reach the goals that we have this season. And you can't have a trend of these type of games happening. So hopefully that was a one-off in New York.
Rockets also coming in hot. They've won 4 in a row, all of them by 4 points or less, including one in Boston against the Celtics where Dylan Brooks turned into Steph Curry, made 10 3-pointers in that game, finished with 36 points. But there's a couple of storylines to look at tonight. And the main one that coming into tonight, I think, that we should talk about is Jaren Jackson Jr. Just a couple of minutes ago was named to his 2nd All-Star team for the Western Conference. Tripp's been amazing this year for this Grizzlies team. We've talked about him ad nauseum. What do you think has been the biggest evolution of his game this season?
Well, I think the fact that he's identified how defenses are playing him and adjusting to him throughout the game. He knows when to go into the attack mode. He knows when to face you up and clear out and go 1-4 set. He knows when to post in the mid-range game and then go at guys. He does not hesitate at all now when he knows he has a favorable matchup. And he's comfortable being a closer. For the last few years, closing has been Ja Morant's specialty, right?
Call 12.
Call 12. Jaren Jackson Jr. has added his number to the friends line, right? I don't even know they still do friends line. But Jaren is in that thing as well. And Lang, you've talked about this. You've written about this in the newsletter. When you have multiple guys you can call, that helps your team overall. So Jaren's ability to identify how teams are defending him and still be effective, that's been the most impressive part of his game.
We have a little video, Jalen, if you want to roll it here, of Jaren following the announcement, just sort of a tribute and kind of showing what he's been able to do this season.
And Jaren Jackson Jr. is an all-star.
Jaren with a block, a walk-up three. Got it! Jaren crosses over on Sard.
He has been the man.
3 seconds on the shot clock. Jaren, turnaround, fade.
Jaren Jackson Jr. is playing at an extremely high level.
He continues to dominate whoever he's defended by.
They don't got no answer for you.
If you are small, he's going to overpower you. All the bigs are too slow to stay in front of him.
Step back, yes sir!
He was just a man amongst boys on the floor.
Certainly worthy of an all-star berth.
Our friend Mark Spears at ESPN.com had a piece today for Anscape about Jaren and the season he's having. And there was a quote in there I loved where Jaren told Mark, just don't force anything. Let it come to me normally. Get off the ball because it'll come back. Don't go through 5 dudes who are keying on me. Make sure I can get off a play in the system, and that's how I've been successful this year. But a lot of it is just he gets the ball and he's like a walking mismatch to me. Like there is nobody. You watch that video and somebody said they don't have any answer for you. Like it doesn't matter who's trying to guard him. If they're smaller, he can shoot over you. He can take you to the post. If you're bigger, he'll go around you. And he stayed on the floor. Like he's avoided foul trouble this year, which has been something that's kind of plagued him throughout his career.
Yeah, that's a great point too. And if you look at the biggest improvement in his game, it's being available on the floor. Right? And limiting those foul opportunities. Now, I did see him against Sacramento commit 6 fouls in one quarter. But that was an outlier, right? There were times when you had to worry, man, how long can Jaren Jackson Jr. keep himself in the game before he picks up that second foul in the first quarter or third foul in the second quarter, and then he can't play the rest of the first half. We don't have that issue anymore. So you're absolutely right. And Mark Spears, my guy, man, our guy, he basically articulated what we just talked about. I'm not going to force anything, but when it's my turn, I know how to operate, and I'm confident in that. I can balance myself out. And his body, man, like he's grown into his body, and his game has grown into that maturation.
And he's stayed healthy this year. You know, he's been healthy.
45 straight games. He missed the first 2 games of the season
with that hamstring.
With the hamstring coming out of training camp. And since then, he's played 45 straight games. He didn't play the first game against Houston, the second game of the season, but he's been available nonstop ever since the first week of the regular season.
Let's talk about turnovers for a second. We mentioned Grizzlies had 26 in that Knicks game. The Knicks had 36 points off turnovers. Keep turning the ball over. I looked today. The top 4 teams at taking care of the ball, least turnovers this season, the Cavs, the Celtics, the Thunder, and the Knicks. 4 of the best teams in the NBA. The 4 worst teams, the Jazz, the Grizzlies, the Hawks, and the Blazers. Teams that haven't been good, except for the Grizzlies. Taylor Jenkins, before the game tonight, somebody asked him about the turnover thing. He said that a lot of it is also, he said, let's give credit to the opponents. They've played us well. But also, he goes, we got to know that they're scheming for this, and we have to adjust to that. What do you think? Is there an answer to this?
You don't scheme for a team to turn the ball over. You got to protect the basketball.
Well, I think he means they scheme to
disrupt, to be disruptive. I get that. But you still have to be sure-handed. You have to see that and anticipate the defense making adjustments. You got to understand when the trap is coming, let me make the next clear pass. Let me not try to dribble through guys. Let me not try to get in transition and rush and do things ahead of myself. One of the issues has been Desmond Bane. He's having to play more facilitator than he's ever had to play before. That's not his natural position. And when you see Desmond Bane, rush down the court, he usually tips over himself. He loses his balance a lot, and that leads to a lot of turnovers. So he's got to be able to adjust that, play within his own pace, play within his own balance. And then Ja Morant just can't get loosey-goosey when he's out there. He's trying to make a spectacular play instead of the next fundamental play. And the guy's got to be a little bit more fundamental when it comes to that.
Speaking of Ja Morant, let's get to the injuries for tonight. Ja Morant, I just got a tweet. He's out for tonight. Taylor Jenkins said yesterday in practice he took a bump on his shoulder, woke up this morning, it was a little sore. They think he's like day to day-to-day. They don't think it's going to be a long-term thing, but they want to be careful tonight because after tonight they don't play again until Sunday. I believe.
Sunday
so
in Milwaukee.
Got a couple days off. So he said he thinks it's just they think it's just like a day-to-day type thing.
Yeah, pain management, tolerance.
Ja's out tonight. Yuki Kawamura,
which is unfortunate, but
it is. Yeah, Yuki Kawamura and Zion Pullen, the two-way players, are available tonight and going to be active for the Grizzlies. Marcus Smart still out. Cam Spencer still out. Vince Williams still out.
Yeah. But there was an update on Vince Williams Jr. yesterday, and obviously it's not necessarily a great update. He's going to take a little bit longer to recover from that grade 3 ankle strain. They projected him to be back and available for action at the end of this month. Well, today is the last game of this month for the Grizzlies, and he's not going to be able to play. So it's going to take a couple more weeks. He's listed as week to week, and they just have to push back the time frame for him to return from that ankle.
For the Rockets, they have questionable Steven Adams and Alperen Şengün on the injury list. I saw them both warm up, so I assume they're both going to go. But and of course, Jabari Smith is out. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Jessica Benson's going to join us. We've got a supersized warm-up show for you tonight. Here from the suite, we're living the sweet life. Grizzlies are about 48 minutes away from taking on the Houston Rockets on TNT. You're watching the warm-up show here on Grind City Media.
There in your seat? I'm great. You know, I've been adjusting it, playing around with the height settings.
What are you exactly? 7'1" or 7 even? Or
I say 7'2" because I wear shoes.
Hey, Grizzlies fans, be sure to tune in to Grizzbeat, where the panel and I break down all things Grizzlies and take a look at the rest of the NBA as well. The show is live every Wednesday, 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Congratulations to the Titans. All of their misery and woe will pay off with the #1 pick.
You got the #1 overall pick as a GM. You would do what?
You want to know the first thing that comes to my mind?
What?
Travis Hunter.
Okay.
He's the best player in the draft.
Okay.
Tune in to the Jessica Benson Show with CJ Hurt live every weekday at 8 a.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Derrick Rose was honored in Chicago this weekend.
That was cool.
Former Memphis Tiger. One of the things I've noticed about him, he's immensely respected by his peers.
Yes.
People love him. People love Derrick Rose. I don't know exactly how to pinpoint it, but he matters to people. The impact that guy made in his hometown, on that franchise, and just on basketball in general, he deserves. There ain't an honor you could give him that I would argue with.
The Gary Parrish Show, live on weekdays at 10 a.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Our fans have a huge impact on our ability to play to the level that we're striving for.
Drop off, Morant. Oh! Well, you wanted home crowd involvement.
I love those moments where you see our guys engaging in the fans, and the fans just get pumped up.
They are standing in FedEx Forum.
I would hate to be on the other side with the opposition when FedEx Forum's rolling. That's such an unbelievable relationship that our group has with our fans.
Welcome back to the supersized warm-up show here on Grind City Media. We're living the sweet life tonight, getting you ready for tonight's Houston Rockets versus Memphis Grizzlies game. It's on TNT, so we give you an hour worth of content to start you off. But like we always do right now, Jessica Benson joins me, and you'll still be on radio, still be on 92.9 tonight. You usually come up and we talk about tonight's main character, the game's main character. Who have you identified as tonight's main
It's more
character?
of a concept, Lang.
Okay.
The main character is prayers.
Thoughts and prayers?
Thoughts and prayers.
Yeah.
This goes in a lot of different directions here.
Okay.
Prayers for John Morant's shoulder.
Yes.
Would love for that to stop impacting him at this point, and a bummer that he won't be available for the team tonight. Prayers were answered with Jaren Jackson Jr. being named an All-Star reserve. Amen Thompson. What do you say at the end of a prayer?
Hallelujah, amen.
Amen. And you hope that Amen Thompson, who has become one of the main characters of the NBA over the course of the last couple of weeks, he had his first career game winner against the Celtics and said it felt like he was Kobe. Great moment. Freakish athlete that is really off. So you put all that together, And you really say a prayer that the Grizzlies are able to bounce back from that awful loss to the Knicks the other night, and really an opportunity to look at this week as a collective instead of a single game.
Yeah.
Yes, it was a disappointing performance at Madison Square Garden, but if you follow that up here on TNT in front of a national audience with a big win over the team right ahead of you in the Western Conference standings, it can make things feel a lot better quickly.
I asked Mike, I was like, do you look at this as like the biggest game of the year? And he's like, well, you don't have your point guard, so it's hard to like put too
going
much
in this morning, and the Rockets don't have Alperen Şengün,
Sure.
their all-star, who was also just named as a reserve with Jaren Jackson Jr. But I do think, feel-wise, it does feel like the biggest game of the year. When I woke up this morning, I had a little tingle. He's like, oh, there's a big game coming up tonight at FedEx Forum.
You sure it wasn't like a cold or something?
It was also, oh my God, the game starts at 8:30 p.m. and I get up at 4:30. How does this work?
That was the caffeine. I started mainlining at 6:30 this morning.
Exactly. Had my last cup of coffee at 4. We're trying to plan this perfectly.
I got one. I'm ready. I got to be on the show
a Diet Coke.
with you in the morning
at
8 something. So yeah, we'll be right back
You're
at it.
You're close to me, yeah.
Media. I wanted to ask you about also, we didn't get to it in the last segment, about one of the big announcements. We heard the announcement tonight with Jaren making the All-Star team. But Zach Edey and Jalen Wells both made the Rising Stars game. We have music to accompany this announcement. Zach Edey and Jalen Wells both made the Rising Stars game. Heading into the season, do you think, I think maybe we thought Zach Edey would qualify for this thing. Did anybody think Jalen Wells would be there with him?
No, he's the 37th pick.
I know.
And came out of Washington State after playing at Sonoma State. I mean, there just wasn't that kind of intensity of, oh, the Grizzlies really got a steal. Early, I'm talking about when they made the pick. But now, yet again, here we are looking in typical Memphis Grizzlies fashion, like, wow, the Grizzlies really got a steal there later on in the draft.
It's almost like now at this point you feel like they're going to get us, whoever they draft, all right, the guy's going to be okay. Like, the guy's going to be good. Like, they've done such a good job identifying players, especially guys later in the draft, too, like
guys who fit in the system, play defense, can shoot. You're always looking for shooters, and, early on, Jalen Wells not afraid. I was looking back at the games against the Rockets, because one thing, you lose to a team 3 times, it can feel as if, man, this team really has your number. The last 2 games have been close. Throw out the second game of the season where Jaren didn't play, but the last 2 have been really close matchups. The last game, the number of wasted highlights in that game was absurd, because I do highlights on my show in the morning. But one of them was a Jalen Wells corner 3, and it was one of those shots where it gets in his hands, and normally you would say, I don't want a rookie taking that shot. And I remember, like, intrinsically thinking, he can take that shot. And that's crazy that we're already at that point with him.
That is true. He also had that game back at Sacramento where it felt like he couldn't miss.
Right.
And we ended up getting the loss in that game. But he's been incredible this year. And Zach Edey, like, the past 2 months, his role has changed. We've seen him do differently. But I feel like the last week or 2, particularly, he's really kind of started to find himself again and be able to make an impact on both sides of the ball for the Grizzlies.
Feeling more comfortable catching the ball. I mean, that became a thing. Like, can he catch the ball? But it's hard. This game is played at a tremendous speed. And for him, learning how to operate within an offense differently has been a part of his journey. But the thing that's even stood out for me with Zach Edey, the moment with him acting as an enforcer against the Jazz and having that moment with Drew Eubanks, and then just diving on the floor. Like, there were only times in that Knicks game where it looked like there was no energy from anyone. Zach Edey was the one getting back on defense. Zach Edey was the one diving for a loose ball. And I think being able to have those kind of principles being driven in early for a rookie is really important.
Going to be tonight on 92.9 ESPN with Eric, with Bennett, with Elliot. You gave us your main character tonight, which is just prayers. Which I'm fine with. We will have a little quiet time after this game. I would also just like to point out, no one can see behind this camera. The suite has turned into the Grind City Media suite.
Were you ever on a radio call during the COVID years where they didn't travel? Suite 216. Oh, no, that's a different one. That was year 2 when we had to go back to it. But we had Suite 216.
I sort of remember that.
And it was me, Eric, Elliot, Mike Wallace, Devin, Roser, and we brought food.
I remember Eric bringing in like trays of food.
We had a good time.
I did some in the lobby with you.
Yes.
Remember that? Like, and we were just like, or in that.
So funny enough, that was the last time the Chiefs not the last time, excuse me. That was the overtime game with Chiefs and Bills that changed everything forever. And I couldn't figure out why I watched that game with the Grizzlies broadcast crew from the Lit Lounge.
That's right.
RIP, previously named Lit Lounge. And it was because there was a secondary outbreak of COVID and no one traveled for a month. But yeah, we did do that.
All right.
This is fun. We should do it more often.
Hopefully we get the suite more often. All right,
the sweet life.
We're going to take a break. Jessica's going to get ready for the radio call tonight. Pete Pranica, the voice of the Grizzlies, is going to join me. You're watching the supersized warm-up show here on Grind City Media.
If a football player decides to leave one place where he's making whatever money to go somewhere where he's making even more. It's what most coaches do every year. So I cannot stand it, and I mean can't stand it when the coaches sit up there and act like these young people are doing something wrong.
The Gary Parrish Show, live on weekdays at 10 a.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
If I was a high school player, or if, let's say I'm the father of a child who's 16 years old, and Mike Vick comes knocking on my kid's door, and Virginia's there also, and so is Virginia Tech, I'm like, yo, you gotta go where Vick is. You gotta go to Norfolk State.
Get all of your HBCU sports and culture news by tuning in to HBCU Huddle with CJ Hurt and Mike Wallace. New episodes drop every Thursday on grindcitymedia.com, YouTube, and Spotify.
So these are a pair of Kobe 11 Elite Low. These were part of a collaboration with FC Barcelona.
I've never seen these in person. The detail on these are amazing.
It's fly knit, like, you know, the front of the shoe is fly knit. It's got the lunar line, I remember, and the
insole is removable.
Yeah. The Sneak Fest Show, live Tuesdays at 2 p.m. on Grind City Media on X, YouTube, and the official Grind City Media mobile app.
Shinedown, Dance Kid Dance Tour. Live in Memphis. FedEx Forum, Saturday, August 30th. With special guests, Bush and Morgan Wade. Get tickets now at livenation.com. Shinedown, live in concert. For more, visit shinedown.com.
Welcome back to the supersized warm-up show here on Grind City Media. We're living the sweet life. I'm here with Pete Pranica, the voice of the Grizzlies. We're about 37 minutes away from the Grizzlies and the Rockets facing off. The Grizzlies are 0-3 against the Rockets this season.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately. I was just talking to Mike Wallace earlier about this game and talking about, you know, this morning you woke up, you felt like this game really means a lot. Ja's not playing now, so that might change things. Şengün's also out, apparently. Does it still feel like a game of some magnitude to you?
It is a game of some magnitude because if, for example, you were to end up playing Houston in the second round of the playoffs, I know we got some hypotheticals in there, you don't want to go into that playoff series 0-4 this year. And you also, coming back off of really the Grizzlies' most subpar performance of the year in New York, you don't want to have another one of those tonight against a top quality team. Going into the New York game, the Grizzlies had the toughest schedule the rest of the way because you've got a couple more meetings with Oklahoma City. Obviously, you have the meeting tonight with Houston. These are games that you have to make a statement with. You don't want to go 0-4. So the Grizzlies are going to have to bring, I think, an elevated level of physicality. Their ball security is going to have to be on point, and hopefully the crowd will give them the boost and the energy that they need. Now, Morant not playing, obviously, is a detriment for the Grizzlies, but we've seen the Grizzlies do well with or without him. I think they're, 11-8 without him this year? 11-7, something like that without him. So the fact that John Morant's playing, not the end of the world, but you kind of wish you had him. On the other hand, Houston without Şengün, that's their all-star caliber player.
How about this? I saw this stat today. Taylor Jenkins is 1-6. He's 1-7 against Ime Udoka. And of those 7 losses, 5 of them were by 10 or more points. The one win the Grizzlies have, they scored 110 points. Every other one, they've gone under 110. So I think that kind of shows you, like, not only is Houston a good defensive team, but it shows you the importance of the Grizzlies to get going on offense against this team.
Yeah, they're going to have to get going on offense, and possession is 9/10 of the law, so you can't be turning the basketball over. This is a team in Houston that is very good at turning you over.
Yeah.
They are very good playing downhill. Again, they don't have Şengün, but they have enough guys that can really make their offense cook. And when you look at Amen Thompson, and look at the fact that they're coming off a massive win in Boston, a game in which Dylan Brooks hit 10 threes. And oh, by the way, Dylan Brooks is shooting 38% from three, a career best.
Yeah, they've won 4 straight games. Again, that game in Boston, all 4 of those games that were within 4 points. So they're not like blowing teams out. But in the month of January, they've had the best record in the Western Conference. They've had, I just wrote this down, the best road record in the Western Conference and the best clutch record in the Western Conference. I've seen a lot of people kind of talk about the last week or two. Are the Rockets like are for real contender? I kind of think you have to consider them one, don't you?
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, you've got a defensive stopper in Dylan Brooks.
Yeah.
You have somebody that has championship experience in Fred VanVleet.
Yeah.
And you've got a young core with Jalen Green and the rest of and Amen Thompson. This is a very talented Houston team. And Ime Udoka, man, he is a fantastic coach. He learned from some of the best. And, of course, he was under Greg Popovich in San Antonio. So I think that this Houston team really has the complete package. The only thing that they don't have at this point, Lang, is they don't have the experience of a deep playoff run with this particular group. And how many times have we heard that as an NBA team, you have to get your playoff scars before you can win the championship?
That's true. Well, talking about playoff scars, and tonight we had an announcement before this game. A guy who's been through the playoffs with us and been to the All-Star game once before, Jaren Jackson Jr., was named to another. That was a terrible transition. I'm sorry. I started going there, and I was like, wait, I can make it work? Then I was like, no, I can't. Jaren Jackson Jr. earlier tonight was named to the All-Star team his second time. What have you seen from him this season? What sort of evolution have you seen that's made him not only get another All-Star berth, but made him probably the most consistent player on this Grizzlies team this year?
I think the way that he has altered his finishing around the basket, and this was something when the Grizzlies changed their coaching staff, they brought in Noah LaRoche from Integrity Hoops out east. And one of the reasons that the Grizzlies brought Noah LaRoche on board was to get everybody to think a little bit more about how they were going about their business. So many players, they know how they want to finish. This is my pet move. And with Noah coming in, it was you have your pet move, but how about a move, a counter move, a different move? And so we're seeing Jaren now with a more varied game in the paint. It's not always in the restricted area. It's basically dotted line to the top of the restricted area. He's able to hit that little push shot or the little hook with either hand. And he's done a much better job, I think, of reading the way defenders are playing him. And then he's countering. If they take away his first move, he's got a counter, and it's usually effective.
I told someone the other day, this shows my age, though. It reminds me of Inspector Gadget. When I was a kid, I used to watch that. Inspector Gadget had all these attachments, right? And you never know what was going to pop out, like a extendable arm or a plunger or whatever. When Jaren starts driving to the hoop, you don't know what he's going to. It could be the hook shot. It could be the scoop shot. It could be the floater. It could back you up and shoot the three. But I think that versatility he has is very unique, especially among a guy, for a guy his size.
Right. Because usually when a guy is 6'10", well, he's going to go to the rim, he's going to dunk, he's going to lay the ball up.
Or maybe they're a spot-up shooter, but not.
Right. He's got so many different finishes right now, and he's not the only one from the Grizzlies that has augmented their offensive game.
Yeah, the Grizzlies' offense has been unbelievable. The NBA put out a stat today. If they finish, I think they're averaging 123.3 right now. If they finish at that level, this point-per-game level for the season, it'll be the 6th highest scoring offense in the history of the NBA. The way they're playing offensively has been great. How do we take? Because against the Knicks, it was a problem.
It was a problem. Taylor Jenkins, even though the Grizzlies lead the league in pace, Taylor Jenkins is saying, got to play faster, got to play faster, got to play faster. And my thing is, it's the old John Wooden line. Rush or be quick, but don't rush.
Right.
Don't hurry or whatever. I even can't get it right. But the fact of the matter is, you want to play quickly, but you want to play with pace. You don't want to play frenetically. And I think sometimes the Grizzlies get themselves in a situation where they're almost playing too fast.
And there's sort of a lack of poise sometimes. And watch that Knicks game. Like there was just times where it just seemed sloppy. And I don't know. I mean, maybe that comes with also like being comfortable with the offense and just having more reps in the offense. But Taylor Jenkins said before the game tonight, you were in there, he's like teams are kind of scheming to try to get steals off us now, and something we're going to have to be aware of.
Yeah, I mean, when Houston comes into this game, they know that Memphis is turnover prone. So they're like, okay, we're going to really focus on this because we think we can have an advantage in this area.
All right. Pete, I haven't spoken to you since the national championship game.
Yes.
You doing all right?
I'm doing okay.
All right. Notre Dame made it. That was great.
They made it, yes.
Set the tone. Now go forward. We just got to reload and spend some NIL money. They'll be good.
Coordinator.
Well, yeah.
That too.
They'll be fine. All right. Pete Pranica, appreciate you joining us. We're going to take a break. If we can find Brevin Knight, he's going to join us in just a second. If we can't, we'll find somebody else. You're watching the Supersized Warm-Up Show here on Grind City Media.
When's the last time you guys played a little one-on-one?
It was, I don't even know, like maybe last summer, and there's some footage out there that doesn't want to be released. Like, he claims he took it easy on me, but I always beat him.
Tune in to the Jessica Benson Show with CJ Hurt, live every weekday at 8 a.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
A night of comedy with Sebastian Maniscalco and Jim Gaffigan.
Now, is this a family? Is this your mother? Where is she? Is she in the crowd? You don't know where your mom is. The mom's up there. What kind of family is this? I'm sorry.
Sebastian Maniscalco and Jim Gaffigan.
I went ziplining for the last time. What is wrong with us? Would you pay $200 to feel like you're about to die 6 times?
Live in Memphis, FedEx Forum, Friday, February 21st. Get tickets now at livenation.com.
Sitting right next to me, am I right? The one and only Jay Huff. Were you comfortable there in your seat?
I'm great. You know, I've been adjusting it, playing around with the height settings.
What are you exactly? 7'1" or 7 even? Or
I say 7'2" because I wear shoes.
Hey, Grizzlies fans, be sure to tune in to Grizzbeat, where the panel and I break down all things Grizzlies and take a look at the rest of the NBA as well. The show is live every Wednesday, 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Who would you be excited to meet?
Don't matter, the greatest coach of all time.
Who was that?
Nick Saban.
And Saban knew who you were.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he knew who I was.
That's amazing.
Saban, come on, man. He said, I'm proud of what y'all doing.
And that meant the world to me and Willie. But look, I'm going to tell you.
That meant the world to me.
I bet.
Coming from the greatest coach of all time. Let's go.
The Chris Vernon Show, live on weekdays at noon on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
What's up? Welcome back to the Supersize Warm-Up Show here on Grind City Media. I knew we were going to find him. I said if we can find him, he'll be here. I knew we would find him. Brevin Knight joins us now. How you doing, Brev?
I'm doing fantastic.
You got a night off.
Yes. Not happy about that.
You're
though.
still working.
Yeah, because you got me working. I wouldn't be working if you didn't have my number. I would just be having a good time.
I got your number. The mayor of Southwind is joining us. TPC Southwind, Brevin Knight.
I'm about to take this off because it's hot.
It is hot. It's hot in this little thing too because we got lights on us too. Grizzlies getting ready to take on the Houston Rockets. 0-3 against the Rockets this season. I've asked everybody the same question. Does this feel like a must-win game?
I think it feels like a must-compete game for this Grizzlies team. Now, the outcome, you would like for it to be the W, but they withstand the force at which, so the speed at which they play, and can they execute for 4 quarters to give themselves a chance to win this game? They've gotten double-digit leads against the Rockets this year. They just haven't been able to hold those leads. So see if they're able to get a lead, hold the lead, and then finish off the game with a W.
So earlier today, I talked to Santi Aldama at shoot-around, and we talked about the Grizzlies not only needing to win this game, but playing against physical teams, which has been something we've seen. Jalen, can you roll this clip? We can hear Santi talk about this.
I think athleticism and physicality is like the #1 thing. Like, they're super athletic and physical, obviously. But I think the way they just play together. They know where their spots are, their advantages are. I think just reducing this team to that is not fair because, they're one of the best teams in the NBA right now. So, but I think for us, like, if we take care of that, then basketball-wise, we'll be good to beat them. But, like, we just got to be more physical. They've punked us 3 times, and like I said, I don't think that's acceptable.
It seems like physical teams in general, though, have given you guys trouble this year. Do you think that's fair to say or not?
Yeah, no, it's 100% fair to say. I think you know, getting used to the new offense with the physicality, something we got to get there. And like we talked about it early in the season, we're not going to get to with a 100% efficacy of our offense up until probably game 80. But like we want to keep building, and you know, the tough matchups is something that's going to build us to.
He said, so Santi said, basically he was like, I like the liner. He said they punked us 3 times, and I don't think that's acceptable. I thought that was good to hear from one of these guys.
It's definitely good to hear, because the thing is, that's something that's on their mind. It's not something that those of us that are watching from the outside felt was happening. It's something that they think has happened. And so I would expect to see a different mentality. The thing that has happened with these physical teams is it's just forcing them further out on the floor, but it's also made them be more one-on-one oriented. They haven't played as a team, and if you look at those assist numbers, talk about against this Rockets team, they've had 24, 20, and I think 15 assists in the first 3 games. This team, they average close to 30 assists a game, and so that physicality just takes them out of team play and made it more individual play.
So how do you combat that? Like, what do you do if a team's being physical like that? And you know, the Grizzlies, they're sort of comfortable going one-on-one, which might not be a good thing, because they kind of just fall back on it right away and don't try to fight back, I guess. Like, I don't know. How do you combat that?
Well, we always used to talk about you never give up your space. If this is the space that you want, you don't allow someone to move you off your mark. And so I think the biggest thing is once they get set in their offense, once you start to get set in certain offensive sets, then the thing is you have to own your space. So the thing that I always hear from coaches, own your space. Right now, they're allowing the Rockets to own the entire court, force them where they want them to go. And so I think if they can do that, and if they can continue to move the basketball, move bodies, then that'll alleviate some of it, and use those backdoor cuts. The one thing that they've been good at all season is backdoor. And so if you have a team that wants to be physical and aggressive, then one step towards the ball, and then let's go backdoor and see what happens.
Earlier tonight, we heard Jaren Jackson's making his 2nd All-Star appearance.
Yes, very well deserved.
What have you seen from him this season in terms of evolution, development, that has taken him to that next level?
Confidence. It's like we always talked about Jaren having the skills. It was just about how were you going to be able to put it all together and have the confidence to do it night in and night out and throughout basketball games. And I think last year, with him having to step up and take the leadership role, that really has helped in this season. And I think the only question was, this year, were you going to be the same Jaren Jackson Jr., or were you going to fall back and it'll allow for it to be Ja and Dez and everyone else? And he hasn't done that one bit. And he continues to shoot the 3. Most dominant players in the painted area when he has one-on-one matchups.
I'm going to ask you to go old school here.
Okay.
Who does he remind you of? Anybody? Like, I was trying to think of a comparison to like an older player, and somebody from my generation. I mean, we're the same age. Somebody from our era, and I couldn't really think of a big guy who could move like that and put the ball on the floor like that and get to the rim and finish like that.
Well, I would say so I played with Shawn Kemp. And I would say the only difference is Shawn Kemp's explosiveness was a lot better. But the thing that Shawn was the same in that he shot the ball out to the 3-point line. He put the ball on the floor in the face-up, and he played well in the mid-post, however you wanted to play him. Utility, I think, is similar to that. The thing is that the his athleticism was just a little bit different than the average NBA players.
Yeah, Shawn's unbelievable. The other thing I wanted to ask you before we get out of here is Jalen Wells and Zach Edey both made the rookie game. Coming into the season, maybe you think Zach Edey's going to make an impact right away. Jalen Wells, 2nd-round pick. You don't know what you're getting. Can you just talk to me about those guys and like how they've been able to make an impact right away as rookies?
Yeah, I think Jalen, the thing for him was he found an area of need for this team, and he filled it
where he could fit in.
Yeah, Vince Williams Jr. not being in the line, he was going to 3-and-D guy. Well, you come into this year, you needed somebody with size, needed someone with physicality, and to have the opportunity and the ability to make shots. And so he fit the role, and he stepped right into it. And then for Zach Edey, it has just been a learning process. Every game, we'll see some games where he's going to be huge. There's going to be some other games where it just may be just an average night. But those are the growing pains in this game when you are a center and you're asked to do multiple things. Jalen Wells a lot of times asked to do one thing. Stop that guy.
That's all you got to do.
Front him, face guard him. You don't have help responsibility. You have nothing. And then on the offensive end, you just make standstill shots. Zach Edey's plate is a little bit more. It's a little bit more on it in terms of the things that we ask him to do.
So when I'm pitching the ball, I'm having trouble like 20 yards and in. on the little bump and run shot.
Yes.
What's your advice?
That is put your weight on your left foot. You got to get that weight. Yes, weight on. There's a weight on your left foot, and now you just stay down the line.
Okay.
Don't get back on the ball, and that's usually you get back. That's when you start. That's when you start hitting that. Exactly.
Yeah.
Left weight on your left.
Hands through.
Hands through the ball. You'll be just fine.
Appreciate it, Coach. That's the mayor of Southwind, Brevin Knight. We're going to take a break. Rob Fischer's going to join us. You're watching the warm-up show, Supersized, here on Grind City Media.
Tried to be incognito, but thanks to Shannon Sharp's loud mouth, the gig is up.
February 22nd in the FedEx Forum.
In my spare time, I infiltrate the Illuminati. Look for their secrets. Run back. Tell y'all.
Don't miss this year's most talked about comedy icon live. He's back with brand new material, an unmatched wit, and an electrifying performance. Get tickets at Ticketmaster.com.
Goldberg announces he's going to have a retirement match in 2025, and he said this on College Game Day.
We know you're trying to ride the coattails because the 2025 is supposed to be the year of John Cena. Goldberg, I have a message for you, my guy. We don't care about your retirement match. Your retirement match was 3 years ago. Go somewhere, go away.
Tune in to Grind City Wrestling weekly on the Grind City Media app and on the Grind City Media YouTube channel.
I want to throw a party just so I can be in control of the aux cord, just so I can force everybody to listen to the Wicked soundtrack. Both of these actresses in Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo, I thought it showed how they have experience performing live and on screen, both of them.
Tune in to the Jessica Benson Show with CJ Hurt, live every weekday at 8 a.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
I can't tell you how many people texted me and thought it was the funniest thing ever that you were sitting on the front row in your jersey.
No.
You were wearing a Tony Allen jersey on the front row. They're like, yo, tell him to check in.
That joke was smeedy. I told Tia, I said, but you should have a hoodie on, though. I mean, a sweater on. I told Tia, you should have sized up on that joint, man. Yo, shout out to Robin Hood, man.
The Chris Vernon Show, live on weekdays at noon on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Welcome back to this supersized warm-up show here on Grind City Media. I'm Lang Whitaker. We're living the sweet life, and I'm joined by my partner on the odds couple.
That's right.
Rob Fischer.
How are you, Lang?
Good, man. All guys had the night off, and we put you to work anyway.
Yeah. Well, we were all going to come because this is a big one for the Grizzlies and the Rockets, so looking forward to seeing the game tonight, but hate that we're not working. This is usually our best night of work. This is usually when everybody reaches out to us on social media and is like, we miss you guys because these guys suck. They're not kissing our ass enough. Tonight we shine. Tonight, so it's a big night for us.
You can shine by not doing anything.
That's right.
Yeah, you just show up. And
it's our biggest night.
Yeah. Yes. It's still a big game, although it feels like a little lessened now that no John and Şengün. Who else? Is somebody else out for the Rockets? No, Steven Adams is starting for the Rockets.
Adams starting, yeah.
But it's not the full lineups for both of these teams. But I think for the Grizzlies, like you got to get a win here against this team, don't you?
Tonight's game is about the attitude of the team, and whether John Morant plays or not, he's whether he was going to or not doesn't matter. I think it's about they have to come out with a different fire. I mean, not only because it's this team, but because of the game you just had, where you were embarrassed in New York against the Knicks. So because of that game on top of it, plus it being the Rockets who have gotten you 3 times this year, one time the coach said he was punked, the one time he called them soft. I mean, this is a team you need to be different, and it starts with your attitude tonight for sure.
Well, speaking of coming out, the Grizzlies are coming out on the floor. You can see it there in the picture-in-picture. I played a clip for Brevin this morning at shoot-around. I asked Santi about this matchup and what it means, and he said the Rockets have punked us 3 times. And I thought it was cool to hear like the players kind of talking about that. You know, like we didn't really lead him to that. He just kind of went to that on his own. Yeah. So I think for the players this means something too. And hopefully you see. It also I think means a lot on the back end of that Knicks game the other night, which was I said earlier it was kind of a disaster.
It was
for the.
And I think, you know, the thing is, and
Brevin and I were talking about yesterday that you don't want the book to be out on you that you can play. If you stop them from running or play a little bit physical, just kind of touch them. You know, the Grizzlies have to fight past that. They've got to be a more physical team. They got to step up. I mean, this is a man's game tonight, and they got to be men tonight.
He also said, like, don't reduce the Rockets to just being a physical team. He was like, they're a good team.
They're a very good team.
But they are playing physical, and that's something we're going to have to respond to.
I mean, you lost by 4, you lost by 2. I mean, you were in both games, came down to final possessions of the game, and the Rockets were just better. But, you know, they got themselves in that position because you were just out-physicaled in all of the games against them so far.
Steven Adams getting his first start of the season for the Rockets with Şengün out. But you know who else is back tonight? We haven't even mentioned him. Dillon Brooks, the villain.
Dillon Brooks is back tonight.
Is it less of a villain now? Like, he's been back a few times now. Like, it's not.
It depends. If he does something to upset you, get you angry, get a technical, you know, something like that.
Which he loves to do.
Or if he has a game like he had the other night against Boston.
That's the thing.
That could make him a villain, where he knocked down, 10 threes?
10 3-pointers for 36 points.
That would make him a villain tonight.
Yeah, like he was unbelievable in that game. Dillon was amazing in that game. And I think it's easy to kind of look at Dillon and say, reduce him to being the villain. But, like one of the nicer guys.
Oh, I love Dillon.
Such a sweetheart.
You talk to anybody who's around him, they'll say the same thing. That they love being around Dillon, and Dillon's great. And I always enjoyed my time around him, and I wish him the best. I just tired of seeing him beat my team. I mean, he's getting this team's getting close to I don't like him, and Dillon's getting on that hill of possibly.
You think that's like the next? So we had last week was rivalry week in the NBA.
Right.
And they had us play the Jazz, and actually there was like fights in that game. So maybe it was a rivalry. But I think there's a bunch of teams you look at and you're like, who is like our rival now? I mean, it kind of used to be like the Clippers and the Thunder, but all those players are gone. Of those teams,
well,
Houston might be.
The problem was in those years we had playoff series against the same team multiple times. I mean, really, you look back at playoffs since this era has started. You had Jazz, Lakers, Timberwolves, so you Portland. So you've had different teams every single time. So you haven't really built that rivalry. But I'm starting to dislike these guys.
That's good, right? And they're kind of close to us. They have some of our former players.
Right, and they've played well against us. Don't like them. Starting to not like them. Starting to not like you, Steven Adams.
Rob and I also are on the fine Grind City subsidiary, The Odds Couple, live on Mondays and on Thursdays at 2 o'clock, right on Grind City Media. And we talk about gambling and sports and all that kind of stuff. Super Bowl is in a week and a half. The Chiefs and your team.
Chiefs, my team. That's right. Go Chiefs.
The Chiefs, who might get a call or two. And the Chiefs are favored by 1.5.
1.5.
We have a clip here. I don't know if you saw this. LeBron. We can talk over it. The LeBron and the Lakers were in Philly the other night, and a bunch of the Eagles players were courtside. I don't know if you saw this. Look how big LeBron is compared to all these Eagles
football players.
That's A.J. Brown. There's linemen there. There's a bunch of big dudes, and LeBron dwarfs all those guys. It was kind of awesome to see. We talked about it today on the Odds Couple, but how are you leaning right now? Are you going to pick your team?
Yeah, I think initially when the line first came, my initial thought was take the Chiefs. I mean, the Chiefs have won 18 straight one-possession games.
It's unbelievable.
They are 9-0 straight up and against the spread in games in games in which they're favored by a field goal or less, or an underdog. That's an incredible run. So they figure out ways to win and just get it done. It's, to me, betting against the Chiefs now is like, when under Nick Saban betting against Alabama. Lose.
Well, however, as we've been introduced on the show, the due theory.
The
Chiefs could be due to lose one of these things.
That's true.
I mean, you would think the NFL at some point is not going to make a call go their way.
And Saquon Barkley's pretty special.
It's his birthday. So
and it's his birthday.
Today, Super Bowl Sunday will be Saquon's birthday. For America's team, fly Eagles, fly.
No, go Chiefs.
We're out on the camp.
Chiefs are America's team. I mean, every game they play, it's the best ratings that they have of the weekend. Every game they've played, it's the best ratings you have of the weekend.
The Yankees,
they got I mean, it is America's team.
She still has not responded to my tweet.
She has.
We tweeted at Taylor during the last couple of days. She has not responded.
But she will.
We think so. Yeah.
Right?
We
what better does she have to do?
Anyway. All right, we're going to take one more break. When we come back, Michael Wallace is going to join us. We're about 11 minutes from tip-off. You're watching the supersized warm-up show on Grind City Media.
I'm not going to let you get away with this.
Yeah, that's fine. I deserve it.
You walked in here on Friday afternoon and said
the smoke
every day for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
You have said, I am John Buckeye.
I said once the playoff matchups were made, you asked what I thought. I said Ohio State's going to beat them by double digits. I said Ohio State's. I walked it all back and went John Vol. I joined General Nealon's Navy.
The Chris Vernon Show, live on weekdays at noon on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
We didn't talk about owling, and you're telling me you didn't know owling?
What the hell is an owling?
Owling is worse than Tebowing.
What is an
How
owling?
far can Kyra zoom out on this camera?
She can zoom all the way out.
Can
Are
she
you going
zoom
this?
out?
What are you doing?
I'm owling.
Okay. Wait, why were we doing this? What is that?
Tune in to the Jessica Benson Show with CJ Hurt live every weekday at 8 a.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
At the National Civil Rights Museum, history moves us forward. The question remains, how does history move you?
So these are a pair of Kobe 11 Elite Low. These were part of a collaboration with FC Barcelona.
I've never seen these in person. The detail on these are amazing.
It's fly knit, like, you know, the front of the shoe is fly knit. It's got the lunar line, I remember, and the
insole is removable.
Yeah. The Sneak Fest Show, live Tuesdays at 2 p.m. on Grind City Media on X, YouTube, and the official Grind City Media mobile app.
Did Rosa go?
What's up? We're back live here. You're watching the supersized warm-up show on Grind City Media. We're almost done. We got about 10 more minutes to get you to tip off between the Grizzlies and the Rockets. Michael Wallace rejoins me again. And like we always do at this time, we go around the NBA and talk about some of the bigger stories. We talked about Jaren Jackson Jr. making his second All-Star game. Some of the other guys who made the teams. Anthony Davis in the West. Anthony Davis, Anthony Edwards, James Harden, Tripp. Şengün, Wembanyama, Jalen Williams. Was there anyone in the West stood out to you that didn't?
Absolutely. That was my list. When we did Grizz Beat, that was my list. My reserves, all except one. I had Sabonis ahead of Wembanyama, right? And I felt like, you know, Sabonis deserved it. He was snubbed last year. And when leading the league in double-doubles right now and also leading the league in rebounding. For a Sacramento team that's played very, very well since they made the coaching change there. I feel like he was snubbed. If you're going to put him on, you got to take someone off. So if I'm going to say he deserved to be on, I'm going to say Wemby should have been off just because he was already there as a rising star. He's going to experience All-Star Weekend anyway, and he's going to experience the next 15 years of NBA All-Star Sunday. So Sabonis should have gotten one in that regard.
When I saw the East team announced and I saw that Trae Young didn't make it and I saw that LaMelo Ball didn't make it, I knew Jaren was going to make it on the West because it looked clearly the coaches were rewarding winning. That's why Jalen Williams made it in the West.
Oklahoma City, right? Which
That's why Jaren made it. I would have put Norman Powell over James Harden. I get it, Harden's a star. He's got his own shoe. He's been an all-star many times. Norman Powell's never made it. But he's had an incredible season for the Clippers. Best season of his career, and he's been awesome. In the East, reserves are Jalen Brown, Kate Cunningham, Darius Garland, Tyler Hero, Dame Lillard, Evan Mobley, Pascal Siakam.
Oh, yeah, you got to kind of reward the teams that are in that top six, and I think that a lot of that went into that. Trae Young is an all-star. Like, he's got to be in the game. I mean, for what he means to Atlanta and what he's done. And Tyler Hero, I mean, he got in, but, you know, I'm not sure if he gets in over it. Like, I would rather see LaMelo Ball in an all-star game. It's close, man, but the votes were in, and they did what they had to do. I just think the biggest guy, the guy that has the biggest gripe, and we could talk about this in our other shows too, LaMelo Ball. And it's because, look, man, how do you publicize the voting, vote 3 times, all these votes count, you went through the whole campaign.
Yeah.
He led the East Guards in votes, and then he doesn't even get selected. Like, what's the whole point of voting if that's going to be the case, man?
Although, okay, I'll take the
That's
other.
part of it. That's part of the vote.
The other side of the argument, though, is coaches are the ones who vote, right? And the coaches are like, we don't have to worry about this guy. Like, we're not game planning for him the way we game plan. I mean, that's kind of what they're saying by not putting him on the. I feel like, though, and I told you this the other day on Grisby, it's not the All-NBA team. We're picking the All-Star team.
True.
We don't get the fun police out of here. Let's have guys who are going to make it entertaining, make it have fun. LaMelo did get hurt the other night, and who knows if he would even be able to play or not. Maybe he gets named as an injury replacement or whatever. Anthony Davis made it for the West. He's out for the next week. Even makes it, or
Sabonis gets in or something like that. Yeah, those are the next guys up. Trae Young, Domantas Sabonis, and maybe LaMelo Ball.
Yeah. We talked about Domantas Sabonis and the Kings kind of turning things around. There's also been this weird story all week about De'Aaron Fox.
Yeah.
That De'Aaron Fox probably won't re-sign a year from now, year and a half from now. When so they might as well go ahead and trade him now. And he wants to go to a team, but it seems like it's the Spurs. I saw the Spurs mentioned as a team that he would want to go to. To possibly team up with Wemby. I also saw Houston mentioned as he's from Texas. I saw Houston, and I saw Miami mentioned as a possibility for him. So there's I've been around out there. Like, if you're De'Aaron Fox, do you stick this thing out for another year and a half, or like it feels like kind of now the toothpaste is out of the tube though?
Yeah, you got once you put it out there, and once you have a powerful agency like Clutch Sports and Rich Paul and those guys, then the wheels are already turning, right? So if you're Sacramento, while you can with them, talking about the destinations that he picked out, start with San Antonio. Stephon Castle, I would take back in a heartbeat. Stephon Castle and some draft capital going back to Sacramento, maybe salaries to match, but I can definitely see a package surrounding that. You talk about Houston, which one of the young guys do you give up in this situation? You're not going to give up Jalen Green, right? But you may give up Jabari Smith Jr. because he hasn't played from that standpoint, but you still have to get some kind of guard going back in that scenario.
And who would Miami trade?
And then Miami, obviously, Jimmy Butler, and if Jimmy's smart, I can't see Jimmy Butler playing alongside DeMar DeRozan. Those are two similar kind of guys.
That's a pretty good front line, though, if you have Sabonis, DeRozan, and Jimmy Butler. I know that it's two kind of, you don't really, I mean, that's a sort of a power forward. You don't have a center, really. It's kind of like two small forwards. But maybe you just go small and you have 3 guys who are veteran
You still got
players.
Keegan Murray. You still got other guys that can play there. But
you don't have your point guard.
But you don't have your point guard. Your lead facilitator from that point. So I think there's going to be movement next week. You know, I mean, today's a week away from the trade deadline. And when you have De'Aaron Fox, you have, you still have Zach LaVine, you still have, Brandon Ingram, Jimmy Butler. You still have Bradley Beal. You still have some big names out there that can all make multiple teams kind of situation.
I think the thing with Fox and San Antonio to watch is it's really not so much if he wants to go there or not. Do the Spurs want, like, they're stockpiling picks and they're trying to figure, they've clearly got some plan in mind.
But that's a guy that you do it for, though.
I don't know.
He's still young.
It's going to tell us what the Spurs think about De'Aaron. They've got the assets to go get him if they want to. I just don't know if they want to. And if they don't, then it kind of tells you how they feel about it.
Absolutely.
Did you see this story, though? Let's talk about cats. The Washington Post, our friend Candace Buckner wrote this story about Jordan Poole loves cats.
Okay.
And Jordan Poole said he is a cat dad. He said he's got other guys around the league, Miles Turner, James Wiseman, Keontae George, all cat dads. He said cats are key. They don't have as much maintenance. They're a dope companion and friend to have. You don't have to take them out 3 or 4 times a day. You can still get your rest. He goes, we like to explore it. I've had a lot of friends and teammates who are cat people. Are you a cat person, Mike?
I've never had a cat as a pet in my life. Never have. I probably never will.
I'm allergic to cats.
Oh, you are? Like, legitimately allergic? See, I haven't had that issue. Cats kind of creep me out because they're too quiet. They're just too quiet. And
sneak around. Jump on stuff. Like, I'm not into that.
Interesting story, though, because, you know, having guys, but that sounds like it's a Jordan Poole, it's all about me more so than it is about the cat. You know what I mean?
So we're a minute away from this game starting tonight. It's Lunar New Year night, and the Grizzlies and the Heat are getting ready to, not the Heat, the Houston Rockets are getting ready to square off tonight. Grizzlies are 0-3 against the Rockets this season. Hopefully tonight is when they finally get that last win. We're going to hang up and suite for the next hour or 3 hours or whatever.
Not a bad place to be.
Yeah, it's not bad. You get a good view. He's Michael Wallace. I'm Lang Whitaker. You've been watching the supersized warm-up show here on Grind.
This guy did a great job, guys. This guy did a great job hosting the entire hour.
We'll be back.
Hour.
See you then.
Yes, sir.